This is Kilo, and today I'm going to show you guys how to credit card a door latch and how to make a proper loid tool out of the credit card in order to have a much higher success rate using this technique. Some of you guys have asked, as a locksmith, how do we get in if we aren't strong lock pickers, as many locksmiths are not the strongest lock pickers out there. For some reason, everybody thinks that if you're a locksmith, you could just pick open every lock there is. And honestly, if you're new, you're going to realize that most shops only give you about 30 days of training with, a veteran locksmith, and then they just kind of send you out on your own. And sometimes, in those 30 days, you won't get sent to a lockout, or maybe you only do a handful of them, and then you're thrown to the wolves out there, and you're gonna have to figure this kind of stuff out on your own. When I was a new locksmith, nobody taught me how to bypass a door latch or use a credit card method or anything. I had to figure this out on my own. So that's kind of why this channel exists, is to help the new guys. But one mistake that people make is they just pull out a credit card and they just start trying to, you shove this through, and you're really trying to get, this corner here, about this much of it, to slip the latch. And, it's not always easy, and sometimes you got to push it in, to get this much of the card to touch the latch. You really only have this much of a grip onto the card, and it makes it even harder to really do this. So I'm going to show you guys the way that I do it as a locksmith, and the way to have a much higher success rate with this technique. So all that you need is a credit card. I would suggest you head down to an auto part or hardware store and you ask for a rewards card, and they sign you up. It only takes a couple of seconds, and they give you a card that's much like this one. It's very smooth. There's no raised numbers or names or anything, and it's very slick on both sides, as that's what you want in a loid tool. You want a very smooth, slick surface. That makes this work even easier. So I would suggest a rewards card over a credit card. I'm using this junk mail, fake card that was sent in the mail to get me to sign up, and I've used this tape to kind of cover the branding on it. But I'm mainly just using this because I don't want to cut up one of my cards, since I don't have a spare card to destroy. But once you have preferably your rewards card in front of you, all you're going to need is a Sharpie and a pair of scissors. So what you'll do first is you will lay down your credit card, you will take your Sharpie, and you're going to start about at this line on this chip here. So it doesn't have to be exact, but about this far in, I guess if you put your finger on it, just to the right of wherever your finger is. If you have bigger hands than me, it's not going to be that big of a deal. But about where, you could even line up your own credit card and just trace from where the line on the chip is, and just start here and draw a line straight down, just like this. Now this card is made of a material that kind of soaks in my tracing here, but it works enough. From here you're going to kind of try and curve this top corner, and about where the chip, the bottom of the chip, you're going to draw a line straight over, and about here you're going to curve another corner like so, and then from this one you're going to kind of slant it towards the right corner, where the logo would be normally on a credit card. You want to slant it this way, so you'll end up with a trace like this. Now this one is, like I said, it's a little hard to even mark up this credit card, as it's the slick surface kind of makes it difficult. So you could even put painter's tape over it just to help you trace it if you need. This does work though, you just have to kind of scribble a little bit. But you'll end up with this. Now, you want to try and make sure that this is as rounded as you can. It's not as big of a deal if it's not perfect. It just kind of helps you with the method a little bit easier, as this is going to basically hook onto the latch, and the latch is rounded, so this just sits on it easier if it is rounded off. From here we'll put the Sharpie away, and we're going to take our scissors, and this is where, you know, having some skill with scissors does come in handy, is when you get to these corners. But you could also use a razor blade if you have, you know, like a box cutter, and, you know, carve it out that way. But basically you're going to just trace along those lines, and you want to keep your cuts right here at this part of the scissors. You don't want to just cut straight through and just, like, you know, try to cut your line. To have more control, you want to keep your cut within this little crevice here. So you're just going to kind of continue to work your way up until we get to that corner, and then from here, as you cut, you're going to kind of spin the card to get that rounded cut, just like so. And then from here, because it makes it kind of hard for leverage, you'll stop and you'll start from this slant here, and you're going to cut a straight line up until that curved corner. And again, you're going to kind of, it really helps here to only, you know, cut in this little V right here to make that rounded edge. And from here, you just kind of twist the scissors. Doesn't have to be completely perfect, but you'll end up with something like this. Now this one is the junk mail card, so it's not a real credit card, so it's made out of paper. But you're going to end up with this shape here. Now I'm going to show you in the next clip how this would work and how to be more successful at using this technique. So now that you have your loid tool created, what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and say that we show up to a lockout and the customer just went out to get the paper, their door closed and locked on them somehow. Maybe the button was depressed, or, you know, the knob wasn't, or the thumb turn wasn't turned all the way. Whatever the reason, they find themselves locked out in their robe. They don't want their neighbors to see. They want you to get in as fast as you can. You don't want to spend their, you know, 15 minutes or so trying to get them inside. You're going to pull out your new loid tool that you created. And the way that the original credit card method works is you just slip it in at an angle like this. You push in, and you basically push in so far that you basically ride this edge and slip the latch. Now what happens is, you know, most people are trying to do it so fast that they don't push the card in far enough, and you can, you know, you'll notice that these latches are pretty squared off up until they really have to slope. So you'll be hitting all these squared off parts and nothing's going to be happening. And a lot of times people are trying this, they're trying to do it in a hurry, and it's just not working out. So this method eliminates that, as all you'll have to do is, and this is something else I want to point out, as a new locksmith, a lot of lock shops and locksmiths aren't going to teach you this. It's something you're going to figure out. They don't do it purposely not to teach you. It's just there's a lot of information you're going to get, and then you're going to be thrown out on your own pretty quickly, usually within a month or so. And if you show up and you want to pay attention to which way the door closes, depending on which way the door closes will depend on which way you attack the latch. If the door closes inward towards the interior of their home, this latch will be facing the interior of the home. If the door pulls closed towards the street, this will be flipped and this will be facing you, making this method even easier. So do pay attention. I have watched, you know, rookies show up and they're trying to, you know, slip the latch from the wrong direction. So that is something to note. That way you don't look like a total rookie, especially if you're there with your trainer at least knowing this will kind of impress him. He'll say, oh wow, look what you made, and like, you're ahead of the game here. So what you'll do is, instead of having to, you know, come in and do all this cutout makes it to where you slip in the credit card and just drop straight down. No more having to mess with weird angles. You just slide in, drop down, and you're going to pull outwards. Now, like I said, this was a junk mail credit card, so it's fake. It's made out of paper. So if I try to pull it over, it's not heavy enough, or thick enough. But basically, as you pull outwards, you're going to slip the latch and allow, you know, entry. Now, if the door is pulled closed, that means that this will be facing you. So we'll say that you show up and the door closes towards you. All you got to do is just take your credit card, push it straight in at the latch. Sometimes it's a little easier to sort of angle it. That way you ride this top little slope, as that's the most rounded off part of the latch, is right in here. And all you got to do is just force it in. And like I said, your credit card will be much thicker and durable. And you're just going to slide and slip the latch. Now, one thing to note here is this little dead latch right here. If installed properly, which it almost never is, if this is making contact with the strike, you will not be able to use this method very well. Now, to get around that, all you have to do is apply pressure to the door. So if, you know, you get in the first situation where this closes, you know, inwards, all you got to do is just push on the door, and you wait to hear this. It's kind of like when people go home at night and they lock up, they pull their door until they hear this. When they hear that, they think that their door is secure and locked, and all they've actually done is make it more susceptible to a credit card loid attack. So, you know, it's not always a good thing to hear this when you close your door. Normally, you know, this will be making contact with the strike plate on the latch side, and if that's depressed, you can't push this in. So if you just push a little bit of pressure, you can pop him out. If he's facing you, all you got to do is pull on the knob a little bit until you hear that, you know, extend out, and then you can now attack with the loid attack. This, you know, no matter what, even if it isn't installed properly, those are the two ways to get around it anyway. The knob is not, you know, this style latch is not normally for your security. Your deadbolt is, so always make sure that you lock your deadbolt at night. But I will be showing you guys a couple of more videos on, you know, jimmying latches using, you know, something like this Sparrows bypass Jim Tool. And this works the same way. You push this in to basically push on the latch. This way, you know, basically just created the same, on a bigger scale, you know, shape. This slides in, you push it in, and as you pull backwards, it depresses it. I'm not going to pull because this mock-up is going to just fall over. But I just wanted to show you guys that way you guys are more successful and quicker at some of your lockouts, and you're not spending all day picking and making the boss angry. So hopefully this video helped. If it did, you can feel free to subscribe if you'd like to learn more about locksmithing. And as always, you know, good luck on your jobs out there. Stay safe and have a nice day.